When I grow up, I'm going to be someone big. Not tall, though I hope that too, but important, the kind of person people look at and say, "There he goes," and they mean it in a good way, not the way teachers say it when you forget your homework again. I don't know exactly what I'll be yet. Maybe an inventor who builds machines that fix everything and make people clap, or a famous explorer who finds places that weren't on the map before I put them there, or maybe a hero, not the cape kind, but the kind whose name people whisper like it's a secret candle they're afraid to blow out. I just know I won't be ordinary. Ordinary feels like a tiny box, and I don't fit in it, not even if I curl up really tight. I watch adults walking to work with their serious faces and grocery bags, and I think, that won't be me. I'm going to do something huge. When I look at myself in the mirror, sometimes I pretend I'm giving a speech to a giant crowd, or signing an autograph, or coming back home after saving the whole world before dinner. Even when I'm scared, like when the house gets too quiet or the dark feels too heavy, I tell myself that people who become great were scared too, and they still kept going. I imagine my future like a long road covered in fireworks, with everyone cheering as I walk through. I promise myself I'll never get stuck, never settle, never shrink into someone who just lives. I'll be big enough that nobody forgets I was here. Big enough that even grown-ups stop and listen. Big enough that the world notices when I step into it. I don't know how it will happen, but I feel it, like a balloon inside my chest trying to lift me higher than everything around me. I just have to grow up, and then everything will finally begin.
You're sweet, kid, really. I almost envy how certain you are, how absolutely convinced that the people sitting next to you on the curb with sticky fingers and loud laughs will somehow still be there decades later, just older versions of themselves with the same inside jokes. I used to believe that too, that friendship was this unbreakable rope you tied around your waist and around someone else's, and no matter how far you both wandered, you'd always feel the tug. But life doesn't pull that way. It drifts. Slowly at first, then so subtly you don't even notice the distance until you turn around and the people who once knew everything about you barely remember your middle name. Nobody betrays you, not in the dramatic way movies taught us. They just change. You change. Schedules tighten, jobs shift, families appear, and the conversations you once had every day start stretching out. Every week, then every month, then only on birthdays if someone remembers. You'll tell yourself it's temporary, that you'll all reconnect once things calm down. But things never calm down. They just reorganize around new priorities. And you realize quietly and a bit painfully that the friends you swore you'd grow old with have grown into someone you don't quite recognize. I used to scroll through old messages sometimes, reading the way we talked as if the world was ours to narrate. There were nights I'd pick up my phone thinking I should call one of them just to hear their voice again. Then I'd put it down, not because I didn't care, but because I didn't know if they still cared back, and I was afraid to test the answer. That's the thing they never warn you about. Friendship doesn't usually end with a fight. It ends in silence, long, soft silence. You'll miss people you have no reason to be angry at. You'll miss versions of them that don't exist anymore. And you'll miss the version of yourself that lived beside them. And there were moments, lonely ones, deeper than I expected, where I felt like I'd done something wrong. Like I'd failed some invisible test of loyalty or effort. I replayed old scenes trying to find the exact second I let a bond slip through my fingers. But most friendships don't dissolve because of a mistake. They dissolve because life rearranges the map and puts you on different roads. And for a long time I held a quiet shame about that. I thought I'd abandoned people, or they'd abandoned me. It took years, decades even, to understand that drifting isn't betrayal. It's just the natural gravity of growing older. Still, I won't pretend it didn't hurt. There were birthdays where the silence felt heavy. There were memories I carried alone because the only other person who had them was somewhere far away building a life I wasn't part of anymore. There were holidays when I realized I had no one left to call by an old nickname or to remind me of some stupid dare I regretted. Loneliness doesn't punch you. It sits beside you quietly, like a guest you didn't invite but don't have the heart to send away. And yet, here's the part I learned slowly, gently, without drama. Losing friends doesn't mean you failed at loving them. It doesn't make the past any less real. It doesn't erase the joy you shared when the world was smaller and your hearts were less guarded. It just means life moved and you moved with it. And maybe, though this took me a long time to accept, maybe that's okay. And now, kid, here we are. You with your bright certainty that friendship is forever, and me with a life full of people who pass through like seasons. I don't say that with sadness, not anymore, just recognition. I used to carry this ache, a quiet one, like a stone in my pocket. I'd remember faces, voices, the way someone once laughed so hard they fell off a park bench, or how we'd sit on a rooftop thinking we were the only people who understood the world. I thought losing them made me flawed, like there was something in me that couldn't hold on. But the truth, the soft one I arrived at slowly, is that people are meant to be temporary more often than they are meant to be permanent. We grow, and our shapes change. Sometimes they no longer fit beside the people we once matched perfectly. Sometimes we outgrow each other gently, without meaning to. Sometimes life pulls us toward different responsibilities, different heartbreaks, different joys. And sometimes it's simply that our paths crossed only for the distance they needed to, not the distance we wished for. For a long time, I punished myself for that. I'd look at an old photo and think, why didn't I try harder? Why didn't I call? Why didn't I show up when I still could? I thought effort alone could have saved everything, but effort needs two hands, not one. And most of those friendships didn't end because I didn't try. They ended because life spun us into new orbits, where we could no longer hear each other's signals. The loneliness came in waves. Birthdays felt too quiet. Holidays felt too long. They were memories I carried with nowhere to put them down because the only person who shared them was gone in the soft, slow way that isn't anyone's fault. But over time, years really, something shifted. I stopped blaming myself. I stopped blaming them. I stopped trying to revive something that belonged to a younger version of me. Instead, I learned to thank those friendships for the part they played. They shaped me. They held me. They taught me how to laugh, how to trust, how to be seen. And then they taught me how to let go without bitterness. Forgiving myself was the last step, harder than I expected. It meant accepting that I wasn't a bad friend, just a human one. That drifting wasn't abandonment, that silence wasn't punishment, that losing someone doesn't erase the time when you had them. Now in the quiet of old age, I sit with a gentler truth. Some friendships are chapters, not the whole book. Some people walk beside you only long enough for you to learn their language of love, then life turns the page. And that's not a tragedy. It's simply the rhythm of living. I don't have a moral for you, kid. I won't tell you to hold tighter or let go sooner. I can only tell you what became clear to me after a lifetime of gaining and losing and remembering. I thought friendship was eternal, and in a way, it is. Not because the people stay, but because the moments do. The laughter stays, the summers stay, the secrets whispered under playground slides stay. They live in me even now, long after the faces have faded into softer shapes. So no, friendship didn't last forever the way you imagined it would, but the feeling of it, the way it lit up my small life, that stayed. And maybe that's all eternity really is. The things that mattered once, mattering still. I don't know what you'll do with your own friendships. I won't tell you how to keep them. I just hope when the time comes, you forgive yourself gently for the ones that slip away.